What's up, you guys? Interesting few games last night for our Friday night. We had the Dragons up against the Panthers, and a very close one in the end after Panthers snuck away to a 20-0 lead on the back of a Jaden Sewer being sent off for 10 minutes after that, that late tackle on O'Sullivan, and they really improved across that time. And the Dragons, I think, will be a much better side this year. It's clear over these first two games that they've been a lot better, a lot more consistent, and have that ability to obviously put on some points when they need to. So this was a really good game for them. The Panthers played pretty solidly, and again, they're going to be up in that top four very clearly. So this was a little bit of the day of the bounce back in a couple of guys' aspects. But then also a day where we could see, it's very easy for someone to go really well in round one, and then also to come back to the pack as well. So there's a few of those guys, and a few clear ones where we could go, oh yeah, that makes sense because that's what they averaged last year. And that's a lot of the things you got to think about. A lot of the guys in NRL Fantasy don't change their point scoring on average year to year very much. A lot of the time they stay very similar. And if they weren't super fantasy relevant before, it's very easy for them to stay that way as well. So Benny Hunt, this is actually really a normal game for him. He's going to get 35 some weeks, and then other weeks he's going to get 85. This is very, very normal. If you look onto his stats, this is something he does on a regular basis. And he's someone that covers the whole stat sheet. He had 3 turnover tackles this time, which would not be fairly, very normal for him. But he did have, the 40-20 in there. He's got 360 meters. He ran for 150, 7 tackle breaks, couple offloads, the tackles as well. With the try assist, there's plenty for him to do without even scoring a try. And if he adds that in, then, he can score in other ways, like he removes that turnover tackles and get a try, for example. Would be a good way for him to score well. So that was a great game for him. If you owned him, hopefully not many people got rid of him after last week, because this is how he plays. Unfortunately, a little bit more up and down, which is surprising for someone that scores so well across the park in all facets. So that's Benny there. Isaiah Yeo, 2 games back-to-back, 80 in a row. So very interesting for him. And if he continues to get that 80 minutes, he is going to be a great option for someone that is priced really high already, obviously, in the high 50s there. But 68 for him, again, pretty much doing everything perfect with the 4 tackle breaks, 43 tackles for no misses, and 150 meters. He was awesome, and a great addition to anyone's side for sure. But just be aware that he should probably have a game or two where he goes back down to 70. I don't see the reason why he should be playing 80 every week. They don't need him to. So there'll be a few games maybe when, against a slightly lesser team. No offense to Dragons or Manly, but they'll be, have a big lead, and it's like, oh, you can have a rest, Isaiah, which is fair. Viliami Kikau. So with him there, 66 in his 72 minutes. He actually didn't have much of a second half, to be fair. He was on, I think, 72 at half time. So Villy, if you are thinking about picking him up, don't do it. He doesn't have these games very often. Yes, he might score a try here and there and pick up a 50, but the games he doesn't score a try, he scores 30, 35. So that's that. Happy played the 80 this week, and that was very interesting. And obviously there's a couple of things that happened. Sullivan had to go off and stuff like that. So Kenny could come on. A few different things there, but Appy playing the 80 with a try assist and 49 tackles, it was a nice solid game for him. But he is priced really high, guys, so just be aware of that. There are Harry Grants and those guys that are interesting. If you decided to pull the trigger on Spencer Leniu, you got a really nice try there. That was a nice line that was run. Sloan hardly put a hand on him, went like this to try and stop him. Good on you, mate. But 53 in his 31 minutes was awesome. So no negatives apart from that, just the neg 1 from a ruck infringement. But the 2 turnover tackles, the couple of tackle breaks, and the try with no missed tackles is awesome for him. So the 31 minutes is still going to be pretty normal. So he won't do that every week. His price stats, high 20s, mid to high 20s there, and will be priced closer to 28, 29 after this one. So if you're looking to pick him up, that PPM of 1 is what you'd need at a minimum for him to make a little bit of cash. And I'm sure you can get that, but the minutes was a little bit of worry. Tango, how good is he? 51 in a game where he just had a line break. He had an error, obviously, or penalty conceded in the end with his double movement over the line. But if he scored that try, he picks up a 60-odd in that center position is really awesome. But his tackling is incredible. He runs the ball really strong, so he needs to be a staple in everyone's side for sure. DeBellin played some big minutes, even off the bench, 74 there. So DeBellin and Bird both picking up 47s there. Birds, oh geez, that frustrated me. He got a little clip to the nose, and was completely fine and has to go off for it. And there's no, obviously, there shouldn't be an issue with the opposing team just because it was a bit of a stray knee, was it? But yeah, just a bit of an annoying one. You could have got another 6 minutes out of him to score an extra 3 to 5 points there. But we won't worry about that too much. I feel like he got a couple extra tackle breaks and they took away. But anyway, a couple of turnover tackles was good, a line break. So he does a little bit of everything, guys, and that's the good thing with him. The run meters is a little bit lower than what I'd hoped. And I suppose if we can get that up and get some more attacking stats, we'll get the odd 60. And then hopefully this base of around that 47, which he's got in both games so far, is going to be some nice scoring for him. Obviously, that's 4 points above what he's priced at, which is cool. And we have him as a keeper in the centers, and then you can plug him in the edge as well. So he was solid. Sully came out with a nice solid game as well. So 43 for him. Caps off a 36.5 average to start him off, which is obviously a little bit above his starting price, what he was priced at in terms of average. So he was solid as well. Ravalawa did solidly on the wing, and they lost McCulloch for early on in the game. So that 43 minutes, he was doing really well as also. O'Sullivan, this is the reason why you don't pick up guys that are only going to have like 3 or 4 weeks. If you started the year with him, yeah, fair enough. But that 38 is going to kill any of his price rises from here. Stephen Cryden was really nice with 36, so the 4 goals was solid. 122 meters I like with him, and the 11 tackles for 1 miss is good. You'll take the 36 to go with his 57 to kick off the year for a nice 46.5 average. So well above what we would have thought for him. So you'll take that 36 for sure. Heading down the list, not too many more to talk about. The biggest one here is Liam Martin, and he's someone that a lot of people were talking up after last week. And if you actually look at his stats, he has a lot of 80-minute games, 60-minute games, 70-minute games with 30, 35, 38, 29, these types of scores, right? So just be, again, aware of these guys that have, they've had the bigger minutes in the past and they haven't delivered. What changes this time round? He has to score a try, which he played absolutely incredible that first game, and then now he goes back to a 30, and the price rises will start to slow down very dramatically. So that's Liam there. Just a very normal game for him in 80 minutes, to be honest. 25 tackles, 3 misses, and 90 meters. So again, solid, but without being spectacular. Lomax with 30 and a sin bin. He was solid. If you own him, you got to hold steady for sure. Mitch Kenny got his 27 minutes. We have Amone, who was on about 35, and they've dropped him down to 27, unfortunately. Took away a few of his stats. But a try assist, 15 tackles, the 5 misses is a bit of a killer. And, 3 turnover tackles in there really saved him, to be honest. Otherwise, he's going to be scoring pretty low. The 55 meters needs to go up. He needs to be getting over 100 meters and building up some tackle busts and offloads for him to be really worth it at the moment. It's okay if you want to hold him, but I think it's enough so far to show that Benny Hunt is the main man, which we already knew, and that it might take a little bit longer for Amone to hit his stripes and do really well. Fisher Harris comes off early as well. So the reason, another big reason Isaiah Yeo played the 80 minutes is because of Fisher Harris getting the 25. And very interesting to see that Spencer only got the 31, even with Fish going down injured. I'm not exactly sure how long he'll be out for or what's going on with him exactly. But yeah, the lower minutes there hurt his output. And we'll find out a little bit more during the week as if he's a trade or not. And Edwards. So the Edwards going to have a couple of these games as well after how amazing he was in that first one. To'o is going to get extremely cheap over the next few weeks. The 17 was solid, but we might lose him for a couple of weeks. Looks like maybe some type of meniscus issue for him. And then, the last two there. So Tyrell Sloan with 13 with a nice try. Like, he's very talented, but 47 run meters, 4 missed tackles, a couple of errors is just not good enough, unfortunately, for someone who's 500k. And that's why that's why I was urging people to avoid him for the start of the season, just because it's very hard to replicate some of the scores that you can do in the back end of the year when a lot of teams aren't game planning for you, for example. Like, teams know that he's going to be fullback this year. Let's game plan for Sloan and his attacking abilities, for example. But also him being probably a little bit more timid as well, being early on in his career. So be aware of that for next time. But I wouldn't have him in my side. I'd be trading him out. But also the wing fullback is pretty light, so you can hold him as well. You have that option. Ramsey with the 10 in the 80 minutes is a very, very normal one for him. So he won't be making any money, unfortunately. So that's that on that game. But a very nice game to watch. I enjoyed that. We've got the Roosters and the Eagles next. And if you haven't subscribed, guys, get around it. Please do it. We start off with Nat Butcher and off the bench. Actually, I did a little multi on this game and didn't even thought about Butch, and I was like, either Cryden or Tupanua is going to score as well. And then I just decided to go with Turbo and Teddy and go real simple, and none of them scored. Anyway, Butch with 72, 2 tries, 2 line breaks. He is awesome, and I can't wait to see what his brother can do as well, being that fair bit cheaper if he gets an opportunity on an edge. But a decent game here for the Roosters, a nice bounce back, and the Eagles are in a lot of trouble early on in this season. We obviously know what happened to them last year and how poorly they started and how good they could turn it around, and that's a good chance of happening again this year. But yeah, not happening at this stage, and a bit of a turnaround with a few players in the Roosters team, but a few stayed similar. Olakau'atu, welcome back for him. 10 tackle breaks. He's a bit of a beast, isn't he? So he will be rocks and diamonds again. The 60 odd, the 30 odd, and average somewhere in that mid 40s, and he's already priced pretty high, so I wouldn't be looking to touch him. Teddy, the big one, 63. So welcome back to him. No tries in there, but 6 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, 180 meters, and some kicking as well. Was very, very interesting to see. So again, why would you take out a gun fullback like Teddy after he's 32 when we know what he can produce on a week-to-week basis? And yes, he's averaging 47.5 for the first 2 games, but this is back to more to his standards. And if the Roosters continue as they are and keep improving, then he'll be back to scoring 60, the odd 80, and having a bit more of a floor at his 40 price. Having a floor at 40 would be for him, I think, better. DCE 61 in a smash side. He just does a bit of everything. So he was good. Obviously got snuck the try in there. Just a staple to have in your side. Somewhere around the 60, 65 will be good for him. But good to see he's had 2 consistent scores for anyone who owns him. You're definitely not complaining there. Croker with 47. Watson looks like he subluxed his soft shoulder, so he might be out for a week or 2. Obviously not a major injury there, but not nice when you have to tackle people week to week. For 45 and he's 43 minutes. Did come off the bench, would have played a lot more minutes, but he was pumping it, and that's very normal for Watto. And hopefully what we can see Kurt Mann do later today or tomorrow. Cryden with 44. So we did have a try saver for him. But again, just the attacking stats aren't there. The 34 tackles and the 100 meters is nice as a 44 base. But just not getting much outside of that, which is a little bit annoying. But that's going to happen. He will get a try or 2, or a try assist or some offloads and stuff. But that just hasn't happened yet. So if you've got him, you've got to keep holding on to him for sure. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments this week about moving him on. But he is a gun for a reason. I don't see him going backwards in his gameplay. So he's one you got to hold on to. Kiri with 41. So again, we're going to be losing some cash on him. I don't think too many people started with him. At 4% is not too bad. But yeah, a couple of try assists. Just doing a bit of everything, but not running the ball as much. Probably is the only thing I'm really noticing at this stage. So he's not getting the tackle breaks and the offloads. The kick meters are there. Tackles is fine. Obviously a couple of try assists, but we need him to be scoring up in the 60s. So yeah, wait till he drops a fair bit before you look at picking him up. Dylan Walker with a nice solid 40 for the year. Obviously didn't play last week, so this is the first one there. And he's going to make a little bit of cash if he's getting 40 every week, but that's a very high PPM of 1. So keep that in mind for him. Kepi with a nice 40. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bullymore. We'll talk about that in a second as to who, if he's actually injured. I'm not exactly sure. It sounds like it's a shoulder issue. But who's going to cover that spot? Will it be Davey, Kepi, Lawton? Who's it going to be? Radley, this is what I spoke about, guys. With if you're looking to pick up Radley, he's a great footy player. 140 meters, 30 tackles. He has a couple of penalties, a few missed tackles, and you get 34 in 76 minutes. So that's always the worry with him. So if you own him, I'd probably he's going to be rocks and diamonds. So if I told you to trade him out, he'd probably go 70 next week. But he's not a great fantasy scorer. Sammy Walker. So again, one of those guys that just going to have up and down games. When you miss 8 tackles in a game, it's very, 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 very difficult to score really well. Even with 3 goals, a line break, and a try assist, and doing a little bit of everything, kicking, running, tackling, the tackle bust, it's very, very hard to score really well. And Walker's on 20 after 8 minutes. Just think of that, right? And I think high 20s before the first half ends, and then you miss a bunch of tackles in the second half, and you can end up with score. So it's up to you if you want to think about potentially cutting your losses with him after the 2 games. I'm okay either way. If you want to make sure you're jumping on a cash cow that was really that you missed out on, that maybe you still haven't got Tungo. If Nanae does really well again, then maybe you're getting him, for example, or other guys will pop up with injuries and stuff. So he's someone that you could use to trade out, but I wouldn't be jumping at it. Lawton with a nice try. Fletcher Baker with 26. Only 14 minutes for him, and that included a try saver. So obviously scored really well, but It's a bit of a pain, those minutes that he ended up with. Okay, the big one here is Tommy Turbo. So 24 in his 80 minutes, just getting involved a little bit, but not enough to obviously get the 70s and 80s that you guys would be looking for who own him and have captained him. If you don't own him, it's a great opportunity to see his price keep tumbling down, and maybe we can pick him up to 600-700, somewhere there at worst if he gets a couple more low ones, but maybe in the 700s, 750s would be ideal, and he is going to turn at some point, guys. So if you own him, you have to continue owning him. You only lose money on Tommy when you trade him out. Think of that, guys. If he goes down to, 880 after this week or whatever he's going to go down to, you trading him out cements that you've lost on him. Yes, he started with him and he was a bit over a milli. He was a milli on the dot. But that's like you, in the stock market, if you don't lose your money until you've actually traded out or sold the stock. So same with Tommy. Just hold on steady. He'll come good eventually. He's got a really nice run of games the next 5. Just be aware of that. So DCE should be scoring well also. I think they've got the Dogs next week, so you'll probably tear them up and get 120. And if you trade him out, you're going to kick yourself. So if you're worried about captaining him, that's fine. Pick Payne Haas, pick someone else. That's fine. But against the Dogs, he should have a big game. Garrick, again, I spoke about him at the start of the season. Don't pick up someone that is a winger that had an incredible end to the year and was scoring tries at will. Manly were killing it, so he's going to lose some cash for a while, and he might be an option later in the year. Joey Manu, so a very slow start for him. Obviously, the Roosters got pumped last week, and then the ball just didn't find him too much with some open pasture. So the 94 metres for 2 tackle breaks, no attacking stats down his right side. So he's someone that, again, I'd be holding, but it's a bit of a worry for sure with those first 2 scores. But we know what he can do when he starts roaming and gets that license to do that. I think he's going to come good eventually. Momorowski with 20. Bullymore with 20 in his 32 minutes. He was doing fine if he's playing big minutes, and unfortunately just didn't get that opportunity. As it sounds, it's maybe a shoulder issue, but I don't know enough yet. So we'll find out over the course of the weekend or into the early next weeks and team lists as well. But that's that with him. And then Davey, so he becomes maybe an option. But 19 is 29 minutes. It's a little bit lower than what we used to with him, but just the tackles was a fair bit down with only 9. Lindsay Collins only got lower minutes as well. Not exactly sure what happened with him. I didn't get to, I watched the game, but not closely enough. And then Billy Smith was 17. So he was okay. The 3 tackle breaks, 133 metres is a little bit better, but just, that output over 80 minutes is not good enough. At 283k is going to be a lot less than that. Obviously around that's 270, 265. There's not too many guys to trade him out for, so just probably leave him in there as center cover. But anyway, guys, that is that video. I hope that really helps you guys in your potential trades next week and the things you might need to learn about certain players and what can happen week to week. There can be really high one week, really low the next, or just someone that's not really super fantasy relevant. But anyway, hope that helps, and we'll catch you in the next video, guys. See you later.